All right, you stud muffins, welcome back to another amazing video. I'm 8 Thoughts, the number 1 MLG, Call of Duty, Elite, Alpha Male Gaming Athlete. And today's video, I thought we would, well, not today's video, I guess I've had a couple videos today, but on this video, I do an outro, and a lot of you guys love the outro, the music at least. And I've been looking for that music because everyone keeps asking, what is your outro music, 8 Thoughts? This is my outro music. Let me just play a little bit of that for you. Y'all seem to love it. It's in the background right now. That is the outro music, and everyone wants to know what it is, and I have no idea. I found it like 4 years ago looking on YouTube for some cool music to put in my videos, and I cannot find it. I just have it listed in my file folders as like intense outro music. So if you Google on YouTube, outro music or intense copyright-free music, if you just search long enough, eventually I'm sure it'll pop up. It's a copyright-free, intense music by a no-name composer that threw it up on YouTube for anyone to use for free. So anyways, but this is what this video is about. It's not about the music. It's about my outro that I use. And in my outro, a lot of the stuff I say, I actually believe. It's like some conspiracy theory stuff, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video, is conspiracy theories and stuff that I say in my outro and why I believe them to be true or not true. For those of you who don't know what my outro is, I say it really fast because YouTube isn't really big on the conspiracy theories and talking about this stuff, and you know, they got a new ruling in the YouTube terms of services that you're not allowed to talk about this, and if you do, your video is demonetized, and this video is probably going to be demonetized, but whatever. But this is my outro. You all stay black and don't let the honky cracker, reptilian shapeshifter, building a moon base, HARP, they're spraying chemtrails, 9/11 was an inside job, you just Google Tower 7, they're up at Bohemian Grove, worshiping owls, Earth is flat, the moon landing was fake, Alex Jones is Bill Hicks, the Floridas turned the Frosgay, white men, bring you down. So let's break it down here. Let's talk about the first thing. So you all stay black with honky cracker, reptilian shapeshifter. That's just a joke. You know, David Icke was the guy talking about reptilian shapeshifters. But I think the reptilian shapeshifters are actually a metaphor, a symbol, an analogy for, I'd say, Illuminati, the elites of the elite, the people running the ship here. Some people say that the reptilian shapeshifters is just another word that David Icke used for, the Jewish people of descent. I guess, you know, people like to believe that the Jewish people, if you're Owen Benjamin fan, the wizards out there are the ones in charge of everything and running the show. I don't know. You know, I can't really go too crazy into that because, you know what, that is a no-no here on YouTube. But that's what the reptilian shapeshifters are referenced to. So the reptilian shapeshifters building a moon base, HARP. Okay, so building a moon base. I don't know about that. That's the reptilian shapeshifters up there. That's just some crazy stuff. But we'll get into how I think the moon landing was fake later. HARP. Now, what is HARP? HARP is HAARP. It stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. The High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, or HARP, is a scientific endeavor aimed at studying the properties and behaviors of the ionosphere. Now, it is this big, huge thing way up north in Alaska, and electrical stuff gets shut up in the sky, and people want to know what's going on. And a lot of people think it's for weather manipulation, or it could be a direct energy beam weapon. But if you're like, trying to, err on the side of not being a too crazy Alex Jones conspiracy theorist, HARP, in my opinion, I think it's for weather manipulation. And there are many videos and websites, which I'm going to link to you right now in the background, that use high frequency radio and electrical impulse and electrical lack of better words, I guess, like laser beams on dolphins, and they shoot these up in the sky, and they can, manipulate the weather. And 110% that they are doing some kind of research with weather manipulation as well as communication across the, it's used for communication as well. Not sure how they work with that. So using satellites, they use, I don't know. That's just one of the conspiracies I've heard about it. But my idea behind it is that it has to do with weather manipulation. And like I said, if you look at the background, there are websites that are dedicated to weather manipulation, cloud seeding by shooting electrical impulses, electrical lasers into clouds, into the sky, and forming clouds, or maybe evaporating clouds, which also can be contributed to what is going on with global warming. If you're really into that, like if you really want to go deep down the rabbit hole here, is that they have the ability in, like, for example, Dubai, they make it rain once a week by cloud seeding. Now, if we were actually in droughts like in Australia right now with the fires, and by the way, that's a pretty bad situation down there. It's not the people's fault, but I do blame the government because they have the ability to cloud seed So why are they not cloud seeding and helping to, expunge and put out the fires and increase the rainfall? Because if you are into, dude, I'm telling you right now, guys, y'all better put your tinfoil hats on because this is going to be a long video. We're going down some deep rabbit holes. But if you look into Agenda 21, essentially, Agenda 21 is an agenda being pushed by the United States that is trying to, make the world, globalize the world through different means and trying to control the population, long story short, for their own benefit. And that's what globalization really is as well. But anyways, so HARP, that's what I think HARP is. Electromagnetic impulses being shot into the sky that are controlling weather. And like I said, the Australian fires could have been diverted, but you know what? They got to push this global warming agenda and trying to, carbon taxes and control people, right, with fear, alarmists. Oh my God, the world's ending. Now, what's the next thing I say? All right, they're spraying chemtrails. Like, bro, cloud seeding already exists. There's this website, like I said in the background. They've already admitted that they can, put cloud seeding material and, whatever sprays on commercial FAA-approved jets and spray the sky and build clouds and whatnot. So, I mean, like chemtrails, I don't know what's in it. I don't know what they're doing, but definitely maybe more weather manipulation. I'm not sure, but chemtrails for sure. 9/11 was an inside job. 110%. At least the American and the U.S. government had knowledge that there was an imminent terrorist attack that was going to occur on the Twin Towers. 110%. Like, without a doubt, they at least knew. So many people during that flight, or people who were supposed to fly that day, rather, were told not to fly. Whether it be like, the mayor or, people from the high levels of the U.S. government were told to not fly that day. The fact that, the building free fell, like as if it had a, C4 or whatever, or what do you call it, demolition explosives set into it. But forget about all that. Steel beams can't be melted by jet fuel, can't melt steel beams or whatever. When I say Google Tower 7, Tower 7 was one of the other buildings that a lot of people don't know about. And Tower 7 was one of the other smaller buildings, well, small, by standards of the World Trade Centers, like I think a 40 or 50-story building that was off to the side, that was never hit by any, planes, never hit by anything. And it free fell, collapsed as if it was had been blown up by demolition. And these, by the way, also are the only buildings in the world to have a structure fire or to have anything happen to the point where the buildings have collapsed. There have been many instances shown that there are a ton of other buildings that have burned even longer and hotter. And it doesn't matter how hot the building burns, you're only burning up the fuel that's inside the building, right? So eventually, if a plane hits it and the jet fuel blows up and it, sets the place on fire, after that jet fuel is expunged, which is rather pretty quickly, the building itself is what is, keeping the fire sustained. So no building in the history of mankind in recent architecture has had a fire that has caused it to collapse. And there have been fires that have burned. I mean, I think there was one somewhere, I think it was in Brazil, that was like a building the same size as the World Trade Center, one of the biggest buildings, and it burned like uncontrolled for like days. They just could not put it out. It never collapsed. It never came even close to collapsing. Also, there's like thousands of architects. There's like this whole organization of like architects and engineers have joined together to try to find the truth because they don't believe that the World Trade Center had actually, been dropped on its own cognition from being hit from a plane, that there was something to do with the government. So there was an investigation done as well by the commission for stock trading as well. There was a ton of trading against the American Airlines and United Airlines stock because they were guessing that it was going to drop, was going to go down, that they were going to lose money, and never before were such large amounts ever put against the United Airlines and American Airlines or options traded. So these investors, they netted a huge amount of money after the September 11 attacks. Funny though, the names of the investors remain undisclosed, and the money that they actually got from those trades has never ever been claimed. It just sits there. So someone knew in advance that there is going to be something happening, that the stocks of United Airlines and American Airlines was going to go down, and people put money on that within the it's called making a put, right? You're guessing they're going to drop, so you're betting on that, and that's exactly what happened, but no one ever was named for who that was, and the money was actually never collected. So there's other as well. This is all done by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the FBI. I mean, it can go on forever. There was like intelligence warnings from March of that year leading up to it by other governments warning that Al-Qaeda had plot to do this. And just there was so much going on that shows that, something was up with this for sure. Either they let it happen or they helped make it happen by actually, being part of, the whole thing and the covering it up. The Pentagon, no one talks about that. There's a plane that ran the Pentagon that day as well. There's no video footage at all. There's no video footage at all of a plane flying into the Pentagon. The most, I'd say, protected or one of the most protected buildings in the world, that has the most security, that has the most, security, the most, surveillance, the highest level of, secretive, top secret, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, stuff going on inside the damn place. And not one video, not one cam, no evidence of a plane smashing into that. And if you look at the pictures of the Pentagon, after it's been hit, it has a perfect little hole, and there's nothing left. There's no jet engines found anywhere. I mean, let me just put it this way. A plane was just bombed over by 2 Scud missiles or whatever, blew it up. It crashed, landed on the ground. There's debris everywhere. It was blown out of the sky by a missile. It fell to the ground. There's debris everywhere. Engines are out on the street and whatnot. What do you have at the Pentagon? You don't even have the entry points for the engines going into the building. There's an engine on the one engine found. It doesn't even actually match the engine that the plane was supposed to be, having it attached to the actual plane. There's so much deep into that one. Also, a guy who works at a gas station across the street from the Pentagon has a camera pointing right at the impact of where the plane was supposedly apparently came and flew into the side of the Pentagon and disintegrated and disappeared into thin air. Those cameras, or not cameras, but those VHS tapes or whatever was recording it, were confiscated like directly after. Like within minutes of that plane hitting, people showed up and took the damn evidence away and never was seen ever again. And that guy was like, I never saw a plane. No one's seen a plane hit the Pentagon. It more than likely was a missile strike. I mean, for those of you who think that America wouldn't stage like a false flag, blowing up their own buildings to, perpetrate a war or to keep an enemy that, isn't really there, but try to, keep the war machine going because, the best way to keep people in control is to keep them in fear. And that's a fact. But for those who don't think that would happen, back during the a Cuban Missile Crisis in the 60s with John F. Kennedy and whatnot. Top secret files have already been, by the Freedom of Public Information Act and, time have been released. And they had an actual plan to have military pretend to be Cuban Contra soldiers go into Miami and blow up a mall to try to get favor to keep a war, to invade Cuba during the Cuban Missile Crisis, with Russia and the communists and all that stuff. So, you know what, man, like they've decided to do things like that, and they didn't actually do it apparently, I guess because probably John F. Kennedy got assassinated and they moved on to bigger and better things. But anyways, CIA probably murdered John F. Kennedy as well because he wanted to get rid of that function of the government. So my next thing we're getting into here. They're up at Bohemian Grove worshiping owls. That's a fact. That is 110% provable fact with video evidence. No one can deny it. 110% Alex Jones of all freaking people, or Bill Hicks, whatever you want to believe, went in there with the camera, filmed it. There's tons of evidence. Joe Rogan was just on his podcast, I believe, with what's his fat friend who does the anime stuff. Anyways, whatever, it doesn't matter. He just had a podcast, and they were showing the video evidence as well about how there's actual footage of them in there wearing like weird outfits, chanting, and like burning effigies of, what's it called? Moloch the owl god, which is like a satanic evil version of some kind of freaking deity, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You're picking up what I'm throwing down. So that's not even a question. But there's a Bohemian Grove where a bunch of all the super elites and rich and stuff go, and they have a camp, and I don't know what the hell they're doing there. George Bush was there. All the people they've been there, all presidents of the past, all the power makers, all the wizards, whatever you want to call them, reptilian shapeshifters. They're all there. It's a provable fact. Bohemian Grove is real, and they're doing weird shit up there somewhere outside of Silicon Valley in Northern California. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. That's a fact, Jack. The earth is flat. I don't know, man. I don't know about that one. But it's kind of weird because last night I was watching the news, right? And there's a lot of proof about like where planes fly and whatnot. And there's like this one thing that's actually kind of weird. I don't care about, other things they've said. Well, there are a couple things. They always use a fisheye lens when they show the space shuttle and whatnot. And people, up in space, they never show just a flat camera. And they always have the fish lens so it makes the earth look round. I don't know about that. But there is a weird one about aviation and the way planes fly around the world. Maybe you are just in the dome. Maybe it's like the Truman Show with Jim Carrey, and we are just like, specimens being watched, and it's all part of some kind of, weird thing going on. I don't know. But the one thing that is strange that I would like someone to disprove is the way the passive flights go for, airplanes. They, like, for example, if you fly from Australia to like Brazil or Rio de Janeiro, if according to the world map, you should just fly straight across the ocean, right across over to Brazil. But if you look into that, young Jamie, and you look into that, my friends, you will see that the flight can't fly directly there. It flies like up into Europe, and then it flies back, and you have to do a bunch of different like flight changes and airline changes. And instead of a flight that would take you something like 14 hours to fly directly across the ocean, bam, from like Australia over to South America, it takes you like 29, 30 hours. You have to fly to Europe and then fly down because the Earth is supposed to prove that Earth is actually flat, because if the Earth was round, you would be able to fly just directly across from that point to that point. But if the Earth is flat, you can't do it apparently, or something. I don't know. Anyways, I don't know if the Earth is flat or not, bros. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You guys got to look into this yourself. Otherwise, we're going to be here for 45 minutes, and I just can't be bothered to do all the research for you for all these damn topics. Maybe I'll break them down individually and do different, like more, in depth with 8 Thoughts, sponsored by Astro Gaming videos. Got to make fun of Drifter, guys. That's every video we got to throw a Drifter dig in there. Moon landing was fake. I don't know, man. There is some weird stuff. I'm gonna throw a clip in here right now of the most senior U.S. astronaut there is. Like, the guy's not some kook. He's still employed by NASA, and he talks about how, like, okay, just watch this clip. I'm gonna throw the clip in there, Booyaka Shah, and watch that.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Like, there are so many other reasons as to why the moon landing could be called into question, but like the guy just said, like, we had the technology, but we lost it, and we don't know, it's very hard to get back to the moon. Bro, like, for those you don't know, the computers and the computing power that they had to send men to the moon was like 1/1000th the power of the computing power, rather, that you have in your iPhone or whatever, Samsung or whatever you use. Like the little Android or little iPhone you have in your hand has like 1,000 times more computing power than all the computers they used to get someone to the moon and back. And then on top of that, they had live transmission from the moon. They had live transmission from the moon, my friends, like during like the 1960s? Yeah, during the 1960s, they had live transmission from the moon and talked to an actual astronaut on the moon, and they didn't have cell service. The long distance calling back then was horrible. And anyways, like, how is that even possible? On top of that, the Van Allen radiation belt that is out there, if you guys don't know about that, couple thousand miles outside of the Earth, there is a thing called the Van Allen radiation belt, which is, it's radiation that's out in space. I think it comes from the sun, and all the stuff that's emitted from the sun. And if you were to pass through it, it's like, it would kill you. It would give you cancer. It's like, that's how much radiation there is. And the little plane that they flew, or not plane, but the craft that they flew, the lander that went from Earth all the way to the moon, was like something like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 inches thick of like metal. And the amount of, like, how thick the actual and how much lead would have to be used, and actually to offset the amount of radiation poisoning you'd get from the Van Allen radiation belt, it'd have to be something like a 6-foot thick, solid freaking iron, capsule, so they don't get radiation poisoning and die. So that's kind of weird. Also, just the fact that, there's some weird footages on the moon. You've seen all that, all the freaking, stuff that shows, weird stuff. And it just seems weird that we have never been back yet. And, that clip I showed you about that we lost the footage. They lost the trajectory or the telemetry data. The telemetry data that showed, like, all the actual proof of, the stats and math and all the stuff that went into getting us to the moon, and all the, flight plans and all that stuff. It was apparently destroyed as well. Like, the most and greatest, I guess, achievement in human history and science. And they lost it all. All the information, all the data gone. Like, we can't get back there, guys. Back in the 60s when we had computers that were like calculators today. But, we don't have the technology now to get back there, but we're working on it. Like, bruh, really? I don't know, man. A lot of fishy stuff in this world. So we got the moon landing is fake. Alex Jones is Bill Hicks. That's just fun. But if you look into that too, Alex Jones and Bill Hicks really, really look different. Like, the original Alex Jones isn't what you see today. The Alex Jones you see today really does look like Bill Hicks. And it kind of fits into the whole thing of Bill Hicks. Like, Bill Hicks was that kind of comedian and running a show and a game, and just like the whole world's just like a stage, sort of a Shakespearean sort of aspect to it, and talking about how it's just a ride, man. We're just here. And it would be one hell of a troll, one hell of a, like, just a prank prank, bro. It's just a prank kind of thing for Bill Hicks to be Alex Jones, and it sort of just works with this whole mythology of who Bill Hicks was as a comedian. So Alex Jones and Bill Hicks, I don't know, but you can watch some videos on YouTube that are like, 30, 40 minutes long if you have the time, that show like the dental records of Alex Jones and the dental records of Bill Hicks, and just their face and their jaw and their throat, and they got like these moles on Bill Hicks' face that now match the exact same moles that Alex Jones has, and it's just like, holy jeez. Also, Alex Jones apparently is supposed to be the same age I am. 40 years old. Alex Jones is supposed to be a 40-year-old man. If you looked at that guy, bro, he looks like he's like 50-something, which would be about the same age that Bill Hicks is, around 54 or something to that effect. So there's some weird stuff. Alex Jones, Bill Hicks. The fluoride turned the frogs gay. That's a fact. Fluoride is horrible for you. I don't know why they put it in drinking water. It's because apparently it's supposed to dumb you down and make you more, I guess, easily to control. You don't question authority as much, and also apparently lowers testosterone. So in a kind of roundabout way, fluoride does make you gay. And yeah, I don't know. I think I covered it all, man. I guess I could have gone into a lot more in depth on each topic, because each topic itself is a 30-minute video, but I didn't want to, drag it out forever. Maybe I'll just make more. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to hear me talk more about my conspiracy theories and ideas, and break them down a little bit more and actually give you better proof and talk about it and just go more in depth, like I was Drifter out here, sponsored by Astro, in depth with conspiracy theories, 8 thoughts, the alpha male elite gaming athlete. Leave a comment down below. Like the video. That's how I can tell if you guys enjoyed it or not. If it gets lots of likes and views and all this, then I would say that the audience is into it. If it doesn't, then I'm not trying to be out here making videos for no one to watch. So hey man, support the video if you liked it. Let me know if you want to hear more of this kind of stuff. But that is my outro explained. I'm 8 thoughts. Thank you for watching. You all be cool, stay in school, and last but not least, my friends, you all stay black. It holds a honey cracker in the shape for building a movie, started spraying cam shows, 9 jobs, cool tries, somebody who all for that means fakes. Alex Jones is Bill Hicks, the Ford turn Fox gay, white man. Oh yeah, why do you do the white man bring you down, stay black? It's kind of a joke as well that everybody out here tries to play a victim and blame white people for all their problems. Like, of course, there is obviously problems in the world that, some people are marginalized, and there is, there's racism, but everyone's racist against every race. Everyone's got their own stereotypes. Everybody's got their own, issues with everybody. But it's just funny that the white man's made out to be the devil now, considering that the white man is what built the greatest countries in the world and the best democracies, and capitalism is the best system we got, even though it's not, it's obviously not foolproof. It's obviously not perfect, but everyone wants to blame the white man for everything, but everybody wants to immigrate to the countries that the white man built, yet talk shit about it and then, talk about how bad they are. But it's the best system we've ever had. Western countries, Western democracies are the most free, the most fair, and the most profitable in the world, and everybody wants to talk shit on that. But you know what? Without that, you'd be back in the Stone Age in the Middle East, la la. Anyways, all right. Now we got a little too real there at the end, I think, maybe. All right, stay black. Peace out. Bye.